Question 5 on the state referendum. Do you favor extending term limits for legislators from 4 to 6 terms?
Oh, I'm personally really undecided. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons. For cons, I would say, definitely if you have someone in office who's doing a great job, why boot them out?
Right.
They could continue doing a good job. But on the flip side, it's good to have new people, new ideas, and new blood coming in all the time.
Definitely.
And, I'm really undecided.
It's definitely a difficult decision to make at the polls because at one time you want to give the trust to the American people, to Mainers, to make the decision for themselves. But at the same time, we can't have like a dictatorship position where it's like Ted Kennedy, for instance, in Massachusetts, where he's in there every single time. But it should be the decision of the voters. Is that your opinion?
Absolutely.
Now let's review the candidates running for office in Saco. Let's start with the mayoral race. Now, as we know, the candidates, as they appeared on my show for the first mayoral forum, Ron Mishu and David Tripp. You've probably seen their campaign signs around town. Also, let's talk about city council. Now, wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 are interesting because the candidates are running unopposed. So let's start with those. Ward 1 is Margaret E. Mills. Ward 2, Leslie Smith Jr. Ward 3, Ronald E. Morton. Ward 4, Sandra L. Bastille. Ward 6 is Eric B. Cody. And Ward 7 is Marston D. Lavelle. Mr. Lavelle is a write-in candidate. Now, Ward 5 is the contested area with 3 candidates running. 2 of the candidates were featured in the Courier recently. Matthew J. DeCiani, Mitchell O'Hannon, and Arthur Tardif. Let's go to the Board of Education now. Ward 2, Daniel Cabral, he is running unopposed. And Ward 6, Lorena Whelan, Miss Whelan is a write-in candidate, and she's running unopposed as well. Let's turn to the 2008 election for a moment. The race is nearly a year away, and do you know who to vote for yet? The race to be our next president and undoubtedly the next leader of the free world is heating up. This race has already made history by starting much earlier, demanding more money, and involving a greater number of candidates. One candidate, known to some as the candidate of change, recently visited Maine for some quick campaigning, including a political rally. The candidate I am talking about, of course, is Barack Obama. Thanks to Mr. Baliveau and Ms. Barklow, I was able to cover the rally for Carpe Diem and TATV. Here's the snippet of the rally.
People are sick and tired of the policies of the Bush-Cheney administration. They want something new. They want to turn the page. They want to turn the chapter underneath. They want a new approach to America because they recognize we can't have an administration that treats our Constitution as a nuisance to be negotiated around. People are fed up with economic policies that do very well for the rich, but leave ordinary people struggling to fill up their gas tank or save for their child's college education, or save for their own retirement. The American people recognize that we have not been bold when it comes to dealing with global warming. In fact, we've got an administration that thinks it's a hoax. They remember visions of our fellow citizens standing on rooftops without water and food and rescuing after a storm. And they're ashamed and they say that's not who we are as Americans. And most of all, they recognize that we are in the midst of a disastrous war. A war that should have never been authorized, that should have never been waged, a war that's cost us half a trillion dollars, and has not made us safer. And they want to bring an end to this war. Are you fired up? They say, I'm fired up. Are you fired up? I'm fired up. Are you ready to go? They say, I'm ready to go. And it goes to show you the power of one voice. One voice can change the world. And if one voice can change it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if it can change a state, then it can change a country. And if it can change a country, then it can change the world. So are you ready? Let's go change the world. Thank you.
In the months to come, we will bring you more stories and footage of the other candidates. Now to the highly contested U.S. Senate race in Maine. The Research 2000 poll conducted a Maine poll from October 15th through October 17th, 2007. A total of 600 likely voters who vote regularly in the state elections were interviewed statewide by telephone. The margin of error is no more or plus or minus 4 percentage points. This means that there is a 95% probability that the true figure would fall within that range if the entire population were sampled. The margin of error is higher for any subgroup, such as the gender or party affiliation. Here's the question. If 2008 election for U.S. Senate were held today, for whom would you vote for if the choices were between Tom Allen, the Democrat, and Susan Collins, the Republican? Here's how they scored. Collins won by a landslide by 56%. Allen has 33%, and undecided range is 11%. Now, this is a poll, be it mind you. The next question. Do you approve or disapprove of the job Susan Collins is currently doing as U.S. Senator? If approve or disapprove, ask if it is strongly or not. The strong approval is 21%. The regular approval is 35%. The strong disapproval is 26%. The disapproval is 10%, and the not sure is 8%. Now that election is a year away, and yet we've already had one poll. Now, for the rundown of the rest of the evening, right after I'm done talking, we are going to be showing you a recent interview I did with Commissioner of Education Susan Genren. This is an interview you don't want to miss. During the 20 minutes it will run, I'm heading over to City Hall with a small crew. At 7:45, we are broadcasting live from City Hall with the first in the string of interviews to come. At 8 p.m., I will interview State Representative Linda Valentino. After that, we'll have a few surprises for you, so you don't want to miss it, including interviews with candidates for City Councilor, Mayor, and finally, the results, what everyone's looking forward to. Now, take a look at the interview with Commissioner of Education Susan Genren, and be right back here at 7:45, live from City Hall. Don't go away.